The Catherine Palace at Tsarskoye Selo, another imperial suburban residence, is a creation of Rastrelli. In the setting of a peaceful Russian landscape, the palace does not seem flamboyant or overwrought. The white architectural lacework of the Baroque is reminiscent of Russian snow, while the gilding seems to retain the warmth of the southern Italian sun that is always so lacking in the northern capital. The story of the construction of the Catherine Palace essentially resembles that of the building of St. Petersburg as a whole. One architect produced the original conception. More and more details were added to it by others, until at last the man came along who was able to fuse it all into a single whole. Rastrelli managed that to perfection. He succeeded, moreover, in giving Russian features to the European Baroque style. This great master's last creation was the Winter Palace. For us today, the palace has become an inseparable part of the world-famous Hermitage Museum. The museum was created in the reign of Catherine II, who gathered within it some of the finest works of European art. But Russia's fascination with art began with Peter the Great. In the early 18th century, there was practically no secular art in the country, only religious art. Then Peter invited foreign artists to come here to draw and paint, and to teach Russians to do the same and to understand art. So, it is thanks to those Frenchmen, Germans, Englishmen and Italians that we can see St. Petersburg in pictures. The Hermitage became not simply a storehouse of artistic treasures. It was a repository of ideals on which more and more talented people were brought up. Those people lifted St. Petersburg on their own shoulders, increasing its beauty and grandeur, and the city in turn gave them the chance to grow and make their names. Here is a creation of one such man, the building of the Mining Institute by Andrei Voronichin. Almost a classical temple, looking out on the cold northern waters. Andrei Voronichin began life as a peasant serf belonging to Count Stroganov. He reconstructed some of the interiors of the Stroganov Palace, including the picture gallery. Then he built the celebrated Stroganov Dacha. Those works brought Voronichin fame and respect as an architect. When Emperor Paul I entrusted supervision of the construction of the Kazan Cathedral to Stroganov, the Count had no doubts about who should be the architect. It is said that Stroganov himself gave the emperor the idea of constructing in the Russian capital a church for the icon of the Virgin of Kazan, the most venerated of all Russian icons. And of making it of Russian stone, using a Russian workforce, following the design of a Russian architect. Columns and more columns, a forest of columns, giants among which a human being cannot help but feel small. Conceptually, the Kazan Cathedral is one of the most original buildings, not only in Russia, but in the whole of Europe. Looking at the Kazan Cathedral from Nevsky Prospect, it would never enter your head that you were looking at the side of the building and not the front. The altar in an Orthodox church is always placed at the eastern end, opposite the entrance, and so Voronichin was obliged to place the building sideways on to St. Petersburg's main thoroughfare, and to have the main entrance on a side street. In order to incorporate the cathedral into the vista of Nevsky Prospect, he invented this semicircular colonnade, and we perceive it as the front face of the building. The Kazan Cathedral is so much a part of the city's architecture that it's hard to believe that Voronichin's conception was not realized in its entirety. The architect proposed constructing a mirror image colonnade on the south side of the building, but it was never constructed. Even unfinished, the cathedral seems complete in its integrity. Two bronze archangels intended to adorn the two sides of the northern colonnade were never produced either. Common talk held that the archangels would not occupy the pedestals created for them until Russia had a wise and honest ruler. St. Petersburg is a mysterious city, a mystical place. The people living here seem to have passed on from generation to generation Peter's clarion call, "Build! Build!" lest, God forbid, the terrible prediction might come true, and Petersburg be laid waste. The story behind that prediction is described in one of the novels of Alexei Tolstoy.